He's going to be doing a presentation, so we're going to put him right here. Eric Silvergold.
Mr. Delaney?
Mr. Euro, how are you?
So,
Got it all under control here?
always. I try to at least. Look the part. Did you get your,
Perception is
yeah, that is true.
actually showing up as yet.
That-
Perception is maybe the other 45%.
Right.
Then there's talent. It's good.
Yeah, that's right. That's the least, AJ, how we doing? Get your, do we get our drainage report yet from the V?
One, 1 o'clock. I saw it today.
Did you?
I saw the draft.
Good evening. I hereby announce that pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the notice which was sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, and posted on the bulletin board in Township Hall and filed in the Township Clerk's office on January 3rd, 2024. Mayor Impreviduto?
Here.
Mr. Foster?
Here.
Ms. LaMountain?
Here.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Here.
Mr. Romano?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Wendy. If everyone will please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence, please, for men and women in uniform that protect us both at home and abroad. Thank you. All right, so we are. Wendy, you have that on the screens, right? Are you going to get up on the screens? Okay. So we're going to have, as promised, an update from our ad hoc committee that is currently focused on the Vonage property down in southern Holmdel. The committee is comprised, just for a reminder, it's comprised of 7 residents. I'm the liaison from the committee, and Eric Silvergold, who's the chair of our finance committee, also sits in on this as well, and I think he'll be leading the presentation this evening. Any questions you have regarding the presentation, we'd ask you to direct to the township committee. These are residents making objective assessments. What they're going to do is they're going to give you some background, and they're going to list out sort of order of preference on uses for the property, okay? Meaning what would be the most ideal to the least ideal. There were things that were omitted as being not in any way, shape, or form acceptable to the committee. Understandably so, you know, when they were discussed. But there's a pretty broad selection, and the reality of it is there's no decision made on this property in any way, shape, or form. So you know things are fairly wide open. It could end up being a mixture of the items that are of the paths that are listed here by the committee. Could be one, could be another. But this is why we have an objective view, an honest assessment from residents to sort of provide some perspective. And I would consider this sort of a phase 1. This is a view, right? For lack of a better term, a very objective look. And then as you know, this project progresses and things sort of round into form, you know, there'll be another request made to the committee to provide their insights and thoughts on whatever path's chosen, you know, how best to proceed. So that's the long and short of it. Again, we like to, first of all, I want to thank the committee for all their work, number one. They've met several times. I put some pressure on them along the way to get something up there. This is a qualitative assessment, to be clear. There's very little to quantify, right, economically, financially, et cetera, et cetera. So this is judgment, and this is consensus, you know, built within that committee itself. You know, any questions or comments, again, just direct them to the governing body, please. part of the reason we have this group together is we want them to feel comfortable to voice their opinions, state their objectives, and state their preferences and opinions without, I don't know, I guess the best way to say it would be outside pressure, right? We want them working in as sort of clean environment as possible. So thank you for that, and I will now turn it over to you, Eric.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me? Yes. Coming through? Okay, excellent. Okay, so I'm Eric Silvergold. I'm a member of Holmdel's Ad Hoc Redevelopment and Economic Development Advisory Committee. I think my first recommendation is to shorten the name of our committee. And we were asked by the Township Committee to provide an update regarding our work on the Vonage property, so that's what we're going to go through today. Okay, so first, a little bit about our committee. We were created to provide the Township Committee specifically with citizen input regarding economic development and redevelopment issues facing Holmdel. We're serving the committee strictly as advisors, and all we can really do is review publicly available documentation and hold discussions. And then based upon our findings, we can provide guidance and make recommendations to the committee. We have 9 members, Dana Arnone, Frank Cavino, Ian Lavulis, Richard Nisi, Samantha Polovina, Tom Santora, Jay Yanello, myself, and the mayor as the Township Committee liaison. So there's our infamous Vonage property, also known as 23 Main Street. And we were basically asked to review the redevelopment issues facing the Vonage property. And I figure I'd just give a little bit of background for the folks who aren't as immersed in this process as we are. And so basically it's an 88-acre property. It's zoned as office laboratory. On that property sits a 350,000 square foot office building. It was built in 1977 for Prudential. Pru wound up selling the property in 2005 to Mac Cali. The sale price was $23.75 million. The property was then leased out to Vonage as their headquarters until they were acquired by Ericsson in 2022, and then they moved over to Bellworks. Mac Cali, which is now known as Veris, basically sold the vacant property to an entity known as CHA Partners for $17.5 million in 2023. So the first kind of interesting thing to notice is there's a 26% decline in the value of the property based on actual sale data points since 2005, right? And in 2023, the property was assessed, to kind of compare that to the sale price, for $36.7 million, and it was generating about almost $600,000 of revenue annually for the town. So just digging in a little bit more on the tax assessments, if you look at the blue bars there, we have about 5 years of assessments. We go back to 2020, it's about 40.4 million. We go to 2024, it's 36.5 million. The property owner appealed those assessments for 2022 and 2023, and just in April of this year, they won the appeal and the prior assessments were restated lower, down about 32%, and this is what you actually see in the purple bar, so you can see the before and after. Down 38% in 2023, down 32% in 2022, down 38% in 2023, and it's down to 22.75 million now. And for this year, that's going to stick, so it'll be the same assessment for 2024. So another interesting data point, from an assessment point of view, the property's assessment is down 44% since 2020. The implication of that for Holmdel is that we'll have our revenues reduced by approximately $218,000 per annum until there's some change in that assessment value. So why? Why the decline? Well, the building needs updating, right? Interest rates are higher, and since COVID, work patterns have changed significantly, leading to significantly decreased demand for office space and therefore lower valuations. So our committee was asked to identify and evaluate some high-level, and I'm going to emphasize high-level qualitative redevelopment options for the property. And I just want to walk you through tonight our process and what we came up with. So this will probably be the most interesting thing to folks. So after discussing many alternatives, we kind of zeroed in on 8 high-level options that are shown here, and they're shown in no particular order. And I'll just kind of run through them to give you a sense for what we mean by all of them. So first, the property could become a continuing care retirement community that provides seniors with independent living and on-site healthcare options. These so-called CCRCs typically have about 70% of the units dedicated to independent living, and the balance of the units split between assisted living and kind of memory or skilled care. The next potential option could be a data center, and that would house information technology applications, data, hardware. They typically contain servers, data storage units, and network equipment, and there's kind of two flavors to this, a managed services flavor and a co-location data center, or it could be some combination of the two. The property could be permanently preserved as a public park or open space, and I'm sure that would be a rather desirable outcome for the citizens of Holmdel. However, it would also be prohibitively expensive and probably difficult to pull off. Fourth, the property could be developed into a community of large single-family luxury homes. I'd say conceptually think of this as something similar to the reserve community at Bellworks. And I believe that was the Toll Brothers community. Next, we were thinking about the possibility of converting into a higher education campus. So the property could serve as a major satellite facility for an existing college or for a university, or it could even house a single smaller institution. And I think when we thought about it, it was very important to us that the option did not include the ability to construct dormitories on that property. Next, we thought about kind of this co-working concept. And the property could house a facility that offers flexible office rentals, short-term, long-term co-working rentals, and meeting room rental options. Now, typically these co-working sites are much smaller than the 350,000 square feet of office space that we're talking about here. So the most likely outcome, if that were to be worked into this process, would be to see that worked into kind of a mixed-use solution that combines multiple options on this page, or options that we haven't considered yet. Next, it could be converted into an indoor recreation facility. And I think it's important that when we thought about this, we were thinking about it in terms of excluding out what we would call outdoor recreation structures, particularly kind of a bubble structure. And it would not allow for these large-scale outdoor tournaments or events that have been somewhat controversial with other developments that have been proposed in the past. Conceptually, I would say it's somewhat similar to what Middletown put together with their Lifetime Health Club. That facility is about 127,000 square feet, just to kind of put things in context. So again, kind of similar to the co-working concept. It's unlikely that you could pull off an indoor rec facility solely at this at the Volunteer property. You'd probably need to pair it with something like, think of something like co-working and paid recreation. And then finally, something that that we're all familiar with here in town would be a luxury active adult community for residents 55 years of age or older. And, you know, in our view, we would prefer single-family homes, standalone homes under this option, but you could also consider townhomes as well. And again, just to kind of give some kind of benchmark for that, the concept would be similar to what you see at the Regency community at Bellworks. And finally, though we don't list it here, I would say a mixed-use development option that combines some number of these 8 options should also be considered, and is frankly probably what the most likely outcome is going to be. That's my personal view. Okay, so what did we do as far as our process? So each of the redevelopment options that we considered was evaluated using what we're calling 9 criteria factors. So first, we thought about what the overall impact on the environment would be for each development option. How would the runoff stormwater patterns be impacted? How would traffic flow be impacted? Would we see more or less traffic? Utilities, electric, gas, water, telecommunications, you know, would this burden our utility structure? The school district, so would we see an increase in our number of students in the district, and therefore an increase in the potential budget and potentially taxes there as well? Revenues, so again, thinking about the township and the school district, would we be positively or negatively affected by each option? Economic development, something kind of tangential, but you know, these projects do tend to spur additional economic development and benefits as people come into the properties. Possibly even thinking about some kind of a downtown plus factor with a development that can come in here. Of course, our police, our fire, EMS, public works, obviously very important to this body. That's our infrastructure. We had to think about how each option affected that. And then finally, what's near and dear to all of us, which is Holmdel and how this affects the character of the town, the aesthetics, and our overall quality of life.
Eric, before you move on, can you just talk a little bit about how the factors were assessed relative to one another as opposed to sort of what exists now or what exists in the past?
Sure. Yeah, so we had some debate on that topic and some confusion as we first said about it. So the way that we evaluated the factors were kind of relative to each other. So we would look at one option, say the 55 and over, and compare that to the co-working facility. And the factors would be relative to each of the options, as opposed to being relative to what currently exists there, which is a vacant building. So we didn't think it made much sense to kind of evaluate to a vacant property. And you'll see that a little bit more on this rather psychedelic kaleidoscope chart that we put together here. So we created a matrix for purposes of this presentation to kind of illustrate how we assessed each of the redevelopment options using those 9 factors that we just spoke about. And in the matrix, the way we show it here, the redevelopment options are in the columns and the factors are in the rows. And then at each intersection, the color in the matrix kind of represents our assessment of each factor for each, with red as negative, green as positive, yellow as neutral. And again, as the mayor just kind of pointed out, the scale is relative to each option, the set of options, I should say, not what currently exists. We wound up using this matrix to rank the development options, and I'm not going to go through all of the nodes on this thing. You could amuse yourself with that later, but what I think was most important is kind of where we wound up after our conversations, our discussions, and batting around the ideas and looking at our matrix. This was essentially our ranking, our qualitative ranking of the potential options, and really. What we have here is what we came to as a group based upon all of our conversations, and these again are high-level concepts, right? So just working through them, obviously preserving property as the park, open space, that's kind of at the top of our desirability list, but again, as far as feasibility goes, probably difficult to pull off, probably affect our rating, certainly affect our debt service coverage ratios. Now I'm starting to sound like the finance guy. So all of those issues are things that would be significantly strained going about. That doesn't mean we shouldn't go about it, but I just want to put it out there because I think clearly that would be the happiest outcome. Going down the line, higher education, wouldn't really require modifying the facility. You can kind of use the office structure as is, so it would be not too much additional work to get to that. Same thing with the co-working, flexible office. You can modify the existing facility. Paid recreation, similar. Data center, similar. Once you get to the lower level of our little pyramid here, low density luxury residential homes, luxury active adult communities, continuing care retirement communities, they should definitely be considered, but they should be considered under a high criteria, right? Because they would deserve a higher level of scrutiny and analysis because it'll have a significant long-term impact on the township. And then finally, as I kind of alluded to earlier, you have this concept of mixed use options, which could combine any group of those options that you see there. It's kind of hard, and there's kind of an infinite number of possibilities you can come up with for mixed use. So we're going to think about that some more as we go forward. And obviously, if anything specific comes in front of us, we'll dig into it. But the way suburban office centers are going across the country, the decline in value that you see here, that's pretty consistent with office space everywhere. And particularly for buildings that are built in the 70s and the 80s, they're kind of white elephants, right? Nobody wants them, and that's why you saw the decline in the sale price to get there. So you have to be a little bit creative as to how you redevelop the property to make it feasible as an ongoing and viable structure. So that's really all we have for tonight. I mean, that kind of gives you, this is really just an update. We're kind of early in the process. This is really just describing what we've been doing so far, where we stand to date. All of this is in flux. All of this can change. This is not, just to be crystal clear, this is not a recommendation. This is just a statement as to what this committee has done, where we stand, and what we've been thinking to date. So we plan to continue working with the township, providing guidance and making recommendations as we go forward. And we're happy to help in any way, shape, or form you ask. And that's basically all I have for today. And I would ask if you guys on the committee have any questions for us.
Anybody on the, have any questions for Eric and Dana? Everybody? No? I think you're off the hook, but thank you very much for the work. Wendy, can you make sure that this is made available to the public as well? Yes. Thank you. So we'll get this posted, I guess, on the website probably is the best place for it. Guys, thank you so much. And there's a number of you in the audience as well. So thank you so much for the work so far. There's certainly more to come, but certainly appreciate you taking time out of your busy days to lean in here and help us out. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Great
Thank
first
you.
pass.
A cool laser tool. I didn't know.
We can move on, I guess, to public comment for agenda items only. Does anybody have any questions? Mr. Loopy, we missed you, man.
Okay, just want to make sure. Lance Loopy, Line Road. Just a quick question on this. I've asked this question in the past. I kind of already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it again. I'm just trying to understand this installation of the pump switches. How do we allow a nearly 30% delta from the initial budget to the final? At what threshold is there some sort of pushback to the supplier of the services?
Fair point, Mr. Administrator. And to be clear, there are many things we do push back on, but I understand where you're coming from. So, Jay, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, certainly. I will tell you that in this instance, the change order involves additional equipment that was actually determined to be acquired more cheaply under the existing contract than if it had been purchased separately. So this is what I would refer to as an anomaly. It does not, again, the specifics are that the contract was specific for the installation of transfer switches related to generator power, and part of that was, these are, I should preface it by saying, these are wastewater pump stations, and it was an upgrade to providing the ability to have plug-in generators for backup service. And again, in this case, the additional change order was for equipment related to cabling that could have been purchased separately, but again, under the contract, it was determined to be more cheaply acquired this way.
So the point is, we would have had to purchase it anyway eventually, but we just chose to do it now because it's more cost efficient.
That's correct.
Make sense?
Why wasn't it part of the original?
Because it sounds like the intent was to purchase it separately on a different.
Again, why wouldn't it have been part of the initial project? Because then you would have known, the cost would have been known up front.
The total cost.
Correct.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even sure it was.
I would note also the change order was actually approved several months ago. This is just a closeout of the contract for the previously approved amount.
And I'm not challenging that, I'm just challenging
The process that got it started.
my head around it. 30% is just a big,
Yeah. Well, it's
it's a big delta.
it was a pivot from the way it was initially conceived, I guess is the purchasing was initially conceived, I guess is the way to sum it up. Any other public comments? Yes, ma'am?
Hi, Francine Campus, 2 Country Squire Lane, Holmdel. First of all, I'd like to thank you for making that committee and making the appointing an ad hoc committee. I know it's not on the, and for letting them share their information with us. I do appreciate that very much. But this is just, I didn't plan on coming here to ask this question. But what is the resolution to cancel uncollectible taxes? Are we letting some people not pay taxes?
We should have made Bill stick around, Jay.
Yeah, that's the Crawford Hill property that was acquired for Dr. Wilson Park. So the township now has title to it. So essentially, the township would have to pay itself taxes now that it owns the property. So the CFO recommended canceling taxes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Public comment on agenda items? Come on down, sir.
Hey guys, Matt Weisfeld, 10 Riverside Lane. I gotta tell you, I like these meetings. You know, I see why sometimes people just come in general. Nonetheless, first, that was a great presentation. That just caught me up for a lot of stuff. I've been MIA, 3 kids, you don't sleep a lot, so I don't know where I am half the time. Nonetheless, I thought that was a really great teeing it off in general as far as I know what's going on now, or at least, get in there and all other fun stuff. So, and then really quick, that Citizens Academy, absolutely phenomenal, guys. I sent you guys an email about this, and I appreciate you guys with that. And the other email, which I appreciate you guys taking a look at, which could stay off-site. And so for this, I'm just really impressed with the whole thing, to the point that sign me up in the respect of what Chief Alaco did, Captain Piggott. I know so much more now about our first responders, the fire department, the police department, things I didn't even know we were doing, the volunteer factor, all of that stuff. So from that, without getting to details, my family's personally contributing towards all 3 of them. And yeah, I just think it's great. And I just wanted to mention, what happened to Holmdel Day? You guys remember back in the day we had Holmdel Day? That was awesome. I've got the karate school. I'm doing Middletown Day, Hazlitt Day, Keensburg Day. I'm having a blast. I want to have a blast over here again. So just a little bit of food for thought. It was a lot of fun. We could do a parade. I don't know. Something cool like that. Nonetheless, thank you guys for your time. And see you all next time.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Any other public comment for agenda items only? Going once, going twice, moving on. On to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve 2024-137 to 2024-148?
Move.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. LaMountain?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Mayor Impreviduto?
Yes, with an abstention to 2024-139.
Okay. So noted. Resolutions 2024-137 to 2024-138 have been successfully passed. Thank you. Next is introduction of ordinances. We're introducing ordinance 2024-14, which is an ordinance approving the Crawford Hill redevelopment plan, Block 27, Lot 7. The motion is to adopt on first reading and publish in the Asbury Park Press and set the public hearing for June 25th, 2024.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. LaMountain?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Mayor Impreviduto?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 2024-14 will be set for public hearing for June 25th, 2024. Next is hearing on ordinance 2024-11, which is an ordinance of the Township of Holmdel amending the previously approved ordinance creating the Bayshore Sewerage Authority through parallel ordinances adopted by the Borough of Union Beach and the Townships of Hazlitt and Holmdel pursuant to the provisions of the New Jersey Sewerage Authority law.
Move.
Public
We
hearing.
have to do a public hearing first. I finally got that right. Do we have a public hearing on ordinance 2024-11? Going once, going twice. Do we have a motion to adopt?
Move.
Second.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. LaMountain?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Mayor Impreviduto?
Yes.
Okay, 2024-11 has been successfully passed. Thank you. Next is hearing for ordinance 2024-12, which is an ordinance addressing planning and development fees.
Public hearing on 2024-12. Any public comment, discussion? Yes, ma'am?
Roberta Kaufman, 13 Chestnut Ridge Road. I'm concerned as we develop more and more difficult properties as time goes on here, environmentally difficult, technically difficult, that there's sufficient escrow for the developments in this document, and I would like you to consider that. Our engineering staff needs that kind of support to properly go over these plans.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Again, I can't tell you reading this whether it's sufficient. I hope you will consider and review that more carefully.
Got it. Thank you very much. Anyone else for 2024-12? Going once, going twice. Do we have a motion to adopt?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. Lamountain?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Mayor Impreviduto?
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-12 has been successfully passed. Thank you. The next ordinance for public hearing is 2024-13, which is an ordinance approving revisions to development checklists.
Do we have any notes from the public on this one? 2024-13? All right. We'll move on to adopt. Do we have a motion to adopt?
Move.
Second.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. Lamountain?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Mayor Impreviduto?
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-13 has been successfully passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Mr. Administrator, anything on your?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick updates for some upcoming grant applications. We're in the process, we have 2 grant cycles that will come, applications will be due in July. The first is the annual New Jersey Department of Transportation Municipal Aid Program. Well, we have been relatively successful in prior years in obtaining grants for various transportation improvements. We are looking at finalizing applications based on prior year applications that were rejected for one reason or another, and we'll be presenting those at the our second meeting in June prior to the application date. Specifically, as you're aware, we've recently submitted an off-cycle DOT transportation application for improvements to Crawford's Corner Road. We hope to have some information on the status of that before the regular cycle happens. And then in past years, we have been unsuccessful in obtaining grant funds for improvements to Telegraph Hill Road as well as Union Centerville. So we are looking closely at resubmitting those applications as part of the current year cycle. Additionally, in July, there's the annual Monmouth County Park Improvement application, grant application will be due. That will require a public hearing, and we're in the process of finalizing the notice for that hearing, which will happen later this month. And the project that had been previously discussed was the second phase of the improvements to the pickleball courts that are actively being constructed, and we'll be looking for public input on a proposal for grant funds to add lighting to those facilities.
Thank you. The CFO is not here. Counselor?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item, and that would be a recommendation for the Township Committee to consider a resolution awarding a professional services contract to Kyle and McManus Associates to provide affordable housing professional planning services in an amount not to exceed $20,000.
We have a motion to adopt said resolution.
Move.
Second.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Ms. Lamountain?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Mayor Impreviduto?
Yes.
The resolution has been successfully passed.
And thanks, Mayor. That's the only item I had.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Engineer?
Nothing at this time, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to the committee, starting from my right, Mr. Lucarelli.
Tricked me. Thank you, Mayor. Okay. Last week, the school resource officer, Michael Nolan, along with members of the Detective Bureau, Traffic Safety Unit, and Monmouth County Park System, led Holmdel High School seniors through the Sudden Impact Program. During this program, students learned about the dangers of driving while impaired by navigating through a closed course while wearing alcohol impairment goggles. The program is to help students understand that driving impaired or distracted can quickly result in life-changing consequences. Also last week, the Holmdel Township Police Department officers took part in the 41st Annual Law Enforcement Torch Run for New Jersey Special Olympics. The Flame of Hope is carried throughout the state of New Jersey, being passed from town to town. To spread awareness about Special Olympics, the department is proud to take part in this great cause every year. 2 weeks ago, the Holmdel Fire Department conducted training in New Jersey's natural gases new state-of-the-art training facility in Freehold. This training will prepare our firefighters to respond, investigate, and mitigate natural gas and carbon monoxide emergencies. This evening, June 11th, 3 members of the Holmdel Fire Department will be graduating from the Monmouth County Fire Academy. The 3 will undergo a 1-year probationary period before being admitted as active members. Despite a recent surge in membership, the fire department is always looking for volunteers. Please visit the department's website for more information. The township will be holding a tire recycling event at the Public Works this Saturday, June 15th, between 9 and 1 o'clock. Residents may bring up to 4 unwanted tires, and this is for Holmdel residents only. And if you're unable to attend Holmdel's paper shredding event in May, Monmouth County will be hosting their own paper shredding event for all county residents this Saturday, June 15th at the Shrewsbury Municipal Center, 419 Sycamore Avenue. That's all I have for you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, DJ. Joe?
All right, nothing new to report from the library. From the Board of Ed, under the direction of the Holmdel High School staff member Michael Moore, and in their first year of existence, the Holmdel School's eSports team won the Garden State eSports State Championship this weekend at Stockton University. The eSports club started earlier this year with a dedicated group of dedicated sophomore students who wanted to play competitively with their friends. Holmdel joined over 250 high schools in the Garden State eSports League at the championship event, and I congratulate the team on their win. Holmdel Theater students received awards in 3 of 10 categories at the 19th Annual Bassey Awards at the Count Bassey Theater in Red Bank. Anika Raj, Gabriella Truitt, and Nicole de Blasi earned awards in the categories of Outstanding Actor in a Female Role, Student Leadership Award, and Arts Impact Scholarship, respectively. SAT's 8th grade student Mia Liebernight was invited to perform at the famous Amateur Night at the Apollo Theater in Harlem. This prestigious competition, the longest-running talent show in America, attracts participants from all over the United States. Mia sang before an audience of over 1,000 people and won the first round of the competition. She is scheduled to compete in the semifinals on June 19th. Holmdel High School senior Junior Martinez distinguished himself as one of only 3 high school students of English as a second language in New Jersey to be awarded the prestigious seal of Biliteracy Scholarship. The scholarship, a testament to his bilingual proficiency and academic excellence, recognized Junior's hard work and dedication to mastering the English language. His achievement highlights the importance of multilingualism and the support provided by the Holmdel ESL department. From the Holmdel Heritage Committee, the Greek Festival. The Heritage Committee congratulates the Bayshore Greek Festival at Holmdel for another successful event this past weekend. Greek Fest featured traditional Greek cuisine, church tours, artisan Greek vendors, and live Greek music dancing. The volunteers of Holmdel Heritage Day met on May 30th for the first time to plan the upcoming 2024 Holmdel Heritage Day event, which is scheduled to take place on Sunday, December 8th. The committee continues to recruit volunteers for this event. Any Holmdel residents who are interested in volunteering for this multicultural celebration, please contact Holmdel Heritage at holmdelheritage@gmail.com.
Thank you, Mr. Romano. Ms. LaMountain?
Thank you, Mayor. Community Development Department, there are no new updates. Our Holmdel Green team is very excited to share that that we've been awarded the ERI grant. Sustainable Jersey and the PSE&G Foundation awarded Holmdel Township a $20,000 grant to update their environmental resources inventory, and this is an important component of our township's master plan. The last time this had been updated was the year 2001. The updated ERI will help the township make planning decisions which benefit the health, safety, and well-being of our residents and help to preserve the natural resources of Holmdel. The township appreciates the contribution of the Green Team and HEC in obtaining this grant and invites the public to comment on the ERI when it is ready for review. And I just like to thank Betsy Shelton is here amongst us this evening, and I know she's worked very, very hard on this along with the others on the Holmdel Green team. So thank you very much for your efforts in this. The Green Team has begun planning for Sustainable Jersey recertification, which will be in 2025. Again, as to that as well, the public input is welcome. The next meeting of the Green Team will be July 1st. Members of the public are always invited to attend. Those who can't attend in person can email their feedback and questions at greenteam@holmdeltownship.com. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Kim. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick updates. Department of Recreation. This past Saturday, the Recreation Department held its first annual Kids Chess Tournament at the Township's room at Bell Works. 36 children between the grades of kindergarten and 8th grade took part. Congratulations to the winners. For the K to 2nd was Ishan Dandu. From 3rd to 4th was Vincent Roberts. And from 5th to 8th was Robbie Linkletter. Special thank you to resident Tanvi Pantella, who volunteered her time to run the Holmdel Chess program and also put this tournament together. So thank you very much. A couple of upcoming events. First Responder Night is Friday, June 21st at the Holmdel Swim Club. This is a special night for our first aid squad and fire department first responders. The event will run from 4 to 8 p.m. Members of both squads should RSVP to their respective chiefs if they will be attending. The Senior Summer Barbecue will be held Tuesday, June 26th from 12 to 2 at the Senior Community Center. It is free to all residents 62 years of age and up. RSVP by calling the Recreation Office. And thank you to DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution, for the Holmdel Cemetery grave marker dedications, which took place this past weekend. They had 2 grave marker dedications in the township at the Dorset and the Smock burial grounds. Holmdel is honored to have a chapter of the DAR within the township and appreciates their good work in the community, as well as their passion and desire to educate the public about our history. And then just a couple things I just wanted to mention as well. Congratulations to Coach Quinn and the Holmdel varsity lacrosse team, who they got the furthest they've ever gotten to the state sectionals. Unfortunately, they lost to Manasquan, but a hell of a season for the team. I also just want to mention Committeeman Lucarelli mentioned Mike Nolan. I don't know if you've ever walked around with him at any of the school events, but he's like a superhero over there. He knows all the kids by name. They all love him. My daughter's one of his biggest fans. He does a fantastic job, just extremely relatable to the kids. We're lucky to have him over there. The Greek Fest that Joe mentioned, Mayor was out of town, so I got to cut the ribbon over there, and they fed me a bunch of food that I could barely, I had to take a bunch home. They just kept bringing food out. But I followed up with Dimitri, and he says he thinks it might have been their biggest week ever. Obviously, awesome weather. But my family and I have gone to it every year. They do a fantastic job. If you haven't gone, I highly recommend you go. And then just a personal plug, this past weekend was the Special Olympics Summer Games at TCNJ. This is my 16th year taking part, so if anybody's looking for a great volunteer feeling and a great community of people, I encourage you to get involved. I have a fantastic time. I was able to get 3 out of my 4 children involved. My little guy had a soccer tournament, so he wasn't able to partake, but fantastic weekend and something we look forward to every year. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Brian. From my side, Holmdel residents should be advised that beginning tomorrow, June 12th, JCP&L helicopters will begin performing routine patrols on all JCP&L power lines. These inspections are expected to take approximately 1 week to complete. These routing visual patrols allow the onboard inspector to look for any outstanding issues or immediate threats to the reliability of the power transmission lines. Residents may notice the helicopter hovering and/or circling to get a closer look at any problems that may be found during these patrols. Don't be alarmed. It's not a UFO. Also like to announce very excitedly that the pickleball court project at the Holmdel Tennis Center is anticipated to be completed by the end of June. So we're very excited about that. I think it's going to be a wonderful thing for our residents. And then, of course, heartfelt congratulations to the class of 2024. On behalf of the entire committee, I want to offer my congratulations to the class of 2024 of Holmdel High School, St. John Vianney, and all of our area high schools. Good luck on the next step of your journey, whether you'll be going to work or going back to school. Have a fun, productive summer. Get outside and enjoy yourselves. And I think that is all, other than thank you, Deputy Mayor, for stepping in for me at the Greek Festival. I was disappointed to miss it, as it's always a good time, but maybe next year. So with no other business from our committee, we can now move on to public comment. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Karen Strickland, 26 Hayward Hills Drive. Two questions. One is, what's the name of the affordable housing attorney again, and why are we hiring him now?
We have an attorney, Andy Bear. We're hiring, go ahead, Mike, I'll let you.
We're hiring a professional planner. It's a litigation matter, so I really can't provide further details.
The one, not for the
but
whole new
it's
law.
It's a special planner to provide assistance with a particular planning need.
Okay. Thank you on the presentation tonight. That was really good. And I'm just kind of curious as to what is the flexibility of the township to do what the citizens have said we want with the land versus the guy who owns the property, what they do. I mean, someone bought at CHA and all they do is the senior housing, which came out as the bottom of this list. What is our level of flexibility that we have to do what we want to do?
I think, and I'll let Mike keep me honest here, I don't want to overspeak or misspeak with my attorney present, but I think the way to say it is with a project like that, we look to find the best possible option in partnership with the owner. So, you know, what that really means, so what it means right now is that there's nothing imminent on the table, right, so to speak. It means that, you know, typically, you know, and you can see they listed things as most preferred to sort of least preferred. It might fall somewhere in the middle. You know, some of this is just the viability and the reality of the situation, right? You know, for example, there were things that were left off the list that are incredibly viable these days, you know, like storage facilities and distribution facilities, but those shouldn't be considered for that property in Holmdel, right? So I'd say discussions are ongoing. The feedback from the residents and the committee is taken into account. And as options become more crystallized, more feedback will be required and requested. So it's really the best way I can describe it. I don't know, Mike, if there's any more color or context I can add, but I'm sure I can't go too deep into it.
No, I think that's good, Mayor. I mean, we're, like I've said at previous meetings, we're following the same process we followed over at Crawford Hill. Under the redevelopment law, which is really a direct negotiation between the township committee as the redevelopment entity and the owner of the property. And you saw that after, you know, quite a bit of back and forth over a significant period, you know, the township committee reached something that we were able to bring forward, and, you know, we're following that same process here.
And I think the one thing I will add, and it's a good point, Mike, I think the one thing I will add is I think there's different considerations for different properties. And so what I mean by that is, you know, if property has already been pure open space and it's been sold, well then, you know, I think in any situation, generally speaking for myself, open space is always sort of preferred. It's one of the reasons people move here. But when there's already a construct there on certain properties, the reality is something's going to go there, right? More likely than not. And so whatever that is, it's going to have to be within the aesthetic, you know, that and sort of the, you know, and the culture that we sort of set for the town. So I think, you know, as we orient ourselves towards that property, I think we have to be, I think that's where our heads need to be, is that something's going to go there, right? We just have to make sure it fits the profile we're looking for, and that it's in some way or shape or form accretive to the town, whether it's culturally, financially, and not in any way dilutive.
Okay.
I hope that helps, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think people are afraid that the township is going to be forced into the plan that got put out. And we're hoping not. We're hoping that this committee.
No, look, there were no promises made to the purchasers, right, at any point in time. So, you know, we're going to try to work in concert with everybody to find the best possible solution.
Thank you.
Good evening. As the administrator was talking about
no,
traffic.
Name and address.
Oh, R.G. Malone, I should know better. R.G. Malonis, 2 Winding Brook Way, Holmdel, New Jersey. It's a long day. As the administrator was talking about traffic and grants and Holmdel Road, I just wanted to point out, you know this already, you've got to know it. The intersection of Crawford's Corner Road and Holmdel Road is a zoo in the middle of the afternoon, and there's going to be an accident one day. And I was just wondering if in this discussion of grants, and is anyone talking about doing something about it? I mean, I was, it took me 7 minutes to make a left turn. I mean, I can't imagine having a 17-year-old child coming out of the high school trying to make that left turn. Anyway.
Yeah,
that's
no,
my question.
yeah, with the grant that we submitted to the DOT, the purpose of that in particular was, finding a way to ease the intersection, not the sole purpose, but the primary purpose, to ease the intersection by the high school itself. I think we were looking at widening the road a little bit to allow a right turn lane and things of that nature. There are other improvements we want to make to Crawford's Corner as we go down closer to Holmdel Road, but we have not talked in deeply about finding a way to ease that sort of burden at that intersection. I know it's tough.
Yeah, it's dangerous. It's dangerous, so.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we've got other things we're looking at to sort of ease the traffic patterns and stuff, but that's a little bit down the road. Yeah, so not specific to that, but specific to Crawford's Corner overall.
Yeah, all right. Well, something to work on.
Thank you. Yes.
Francine Campus, 2 Country Squire Lane. I just want to bring up something. The Coltsneck Manor project that's going up in Coltsneck. I think everybody by this time should be aware of it. Now, I know Holmdel Township can't tell another township what to do with their property. But there's an issue here, and it's the main issue, about the drinking water, which will affect all of Holmdel and other municipalities. Is anybody doing anything to put pressure on the other municipalities? Because let's face it, if something fails in that sewage treatment plant, we're going to have to bear some of the burden of that or the damages from it. So as any of the mayors or any of the committee people getting together to do something about it, because I'm concerned about it as a Holmdel resident. And I could care less what Coltsneck does in their township, but when it affects our township and the rest of Monmouth County on an important issue, and that's water quality.
And that's the affordable complex? Is that the high
Well,
density?
it's not all affordable.
It's the high density
Yes,
by the high school.
yes.
Yeah. Sorry. So look, the short answer is no. I mean, there are times where we intervene on properties that, or we attempt to intervene on properties that are more directly impactful to Holmdel and the infrastructure, and there are times we don't. Typically, and again, I got to be careful with my attorney here, but typically, when it comes to the sort of affordable housing components and things like that, we don't often get involved, especially when they're this far down the road. But Mike, you might have more and better history there.
I guess the analogy I would make is, the township would have to have standing in order to get involved, and I don't know specifically, but I think a lot of the Coltsneck issues have been litigated over a decade now and have already now been decided, so I think those are probably relatively final, what's been determined there between both the affordable housing litigation as well as the DEP-related approvals. I think for Holmdel, obviously, we have jurisdiction within the borders of Holmdel, and I think in the unique situation that we're dealing with the Red Hill Road property, the Township Committee believes that a property that's directly across from its border and certainly within 200-foot noticing of it, if it were a regular land use board approval, would warrant jurisdiction. So under those unique circumstances, the Township Committee sought to intervene in that litigation, and we're currently up in the appellate division trying to get the court to allow us to enter. So, I think the committee, where it believes jurisdiction would be appropriate, is certainly happy to interject itself. But I don't know if that would necessarily be the case in that instance that you're raising.
See, the whole project is not all affordable housing. It's a very small piece. It's 350 apartments, very small. I guess it's 15%. I'm not sure of all the details, but it's only 10 or 15% is affordable housing. And my concern is to get involved more for the issue of the danger to our drinking water, not what they're doing. As I said, if they want to put up a 350 apartment tower in their town, that's their business, and I agree. We have no standing to tell them how to meet their affordable housing requirements. But It's not only Holmdel, it's Middletown, and there's a couple of other municipalities, that if that sewer treatment plant is allowed to go, there is a real risk of damaging our water supply. And I hate to see it afterwards, when water has been polluted and stuff, towns go, gee, what happened here? What could we have done? So that's why I'm just bringing it up.
No,
Okay?
it's a fair point, and I totally get it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other public comment? Mr. Luby? Part 2?
Lance Loopy Line Road. November 22nd, 2022. I stood at this microphone and I asked the then mayor a question about a signage at the intersection near my home, Bethany Road, Line Road. 568 days. That's 1.55 years. Okay. 306 days since I've gotten an update. That's on the record. You said you haven't seen me in a while. This is the reason I don't come. Because what's the point? Right? Should I have faith in the system? I mean, I've brought this up with everyone. I brought it up with the state myself. I brought it up with Aberdeen. I brought it up with Hazlitt. I mean, I don't know how much more I'm supposed to do, right? I'm
Yeah, what was the last communication you had with that? I think the last,
August 10th, 2023.
and what was the,
No update.
that was the update? There was no
So
update?
then I sent an update sometime earlier this year, February or March. I have the email. I'll get back to you.
Okay,
Nothing. So,
okay,
issue number one.
okay.
I mean, I've even asked for the person at the state to contact, because if it's not getting done at the local level, I'm more than happy to reach out. I don't even get an acknowledgement or a response to that. Just disappointing. Similar topic, paving on Line Road. New Jersey American Water did a whole bunch of construction work across the street in Aberdeen. The commitment was to repave curb to curb because we had just repaved that road a few years prior. I reached out to the counterpart in Aberdeen. I was told it was supposed to be done end of year last year. There was some weather concerns, traffic concerns with school. I was led to believe it was going to be done maybe spring break. Still nothing, no updates from anybody. I would, since we own half that road, I would think that someone here would be involved.
Yeah. Jay, can we look into that? I don't know if that's a Victor thing or just see who in Aberdeen to talk to. And
Brian Russell was the person that I was in communication with in Aberdeen.
okay,
And he committed to me that he had said that he just had New Jersey American Water in his office just that week or the week prior, and that they had committed, reaffirmed their commitment to that project. But here we are, June 11th, still nothing.
all right.
It was done last year, so I don't
All right.
really know what the delay is at this point.
Jay, if you can just follow up and see what's going on there.
Okay. The high school roadway project, I mean, I looked at the details of that. Actually, part of that is to remove a no turn on red sign at Holland Road. Maybe they can just take that no turn on red sign and relocate it to me. But I didn't see anything in there for something that I've brought up multiple times. I've only got 9 more days that I have to worry about driving my daughter to school because she gets her license. But I still don't see any left turn signal at the school. That not part of that project, and I just don't
Well,
get
we're
it.
doing
You're going to gain 20 feet of right turn lane, and you're not going to address the left turn issue.
We are going to change the light there. I don't recall what the details are of the.
It's not in
plans.
the plan, at least not visibly. So maybe.
Okay,
there's
so
some
we're
more
going to
details.
change, there is going to be a change to the traffic light there. I don't recall the specifics of it, but it's going to be more, the timing's going to be based differently, et cetera, et cetera.
And the road in front of that is really in need of repavement. And I'll wrap this up in 15 seconds. I'm curious about the license plate readers that we spent a lot of money on last year or the year prior, what the effectiveness of that is. It seems as if I read the expenditures for this past month, that we've gotten then again, I haven't been here in a while. So gas pumps were supposed to be purchased for the town to not be purchasing gas anymore at the gas stations. We were supposed to get some. Is that correct or incorrect? And then we spent some money on the shop Holmdel a year or so ago. I'm curious as to what the benefit of that was. If we did a cost benefit analysis to know if we was a good spend or a bad spend. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jay, do you have anything on the gas pumps he was referring to? I'm not sure.
I believe the question that's been raised is that while the gas pumps are installed and are operating, we still purchase diesel fuel from an outside vendor.
Okay. So we talked about Crawford's Corner. That's being done. We're going to talk. Sorry, I'm looking at the notes from your questions. The sign of Line Road, we got to take a look at. Line Road paving. Jay's going to reach out to Brian Russell. It sounds like in Aberdeen. Gas pumps taken care of. So Shop Holmdel. Shop Holmdel, we're working. We have the infrastructure done. We're working to get retailers on board. That's really been the hardest part, and it's unexpected how difficult that's been. So that's where we are with that. I think that's everything you hit us with, right? Oh, the license plate readers. I don't have an update on that. I don't know. Oh, watch this. DJ, on the public safety side, do you have anything on the license plate readers?
No, I have no analysis on that. Yeah, and I know that they're very effective. I know that the department uses them. It's part of their, their protocol, and to what I understand, they're very effective. But what exactly are you looking for?
Deterred anybody? Caught, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just trying to understand. We spent a lot of money on that. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent on those license plate readers. We had to have them, and there was upkeep and maintenance agreements that we had to sign with the vendor. And I'm just trying to understand. We caught 15 stolen cars, 100 stolen cars. We didn't catch any stolen cars.
So DJ, I was just tossing you to break your shop.
Yeah.
But actually, Jay, if we could maybe talk. I mean, we could probably just reach out to the chief and just see if there's anything. Look, I don't know what he can or can't share, or feels comfortable sharing or not.
I'm not asking to divulge
Yeah, but
any proprietary or specific information, but I'm sure that in an aggregate you could say
yeah.
deterred 20.
So we'll get feedback from the chief on the license plate readers. Anybody else? Public comment, Mr. Tresquita?
Patrick Tresquita, 56 Line Road. Could we get an update on the planning for Robert Wilson Park? What's new and if anything's moving along?
Mr. Administrator?
Yes, actually, Thursday, Brian? Thursday, thank you. Thursday, we're scheduled to meet on the first phase, which is the preparation of a historic structure. That's all I can think of. But that is the first phase, and we're meeting on Thursday on that, and that is the first step in the process. Once we have that report, that'll go to the State Office of Historic Preservation. Then we will begin the steps for the second phase, which is conceptual plan for potential development of the site.
There you go. All right. Anybody else? Public comment? Going once, going twice.
Actually, I have one thing for Mr. Tresquita. At the last meeting, you had brought up Sunday hours for the library. We had our, bless you. We had our liaison meeting last week, and we brought it up with Trish Roto at the library, and it wasn't possible. They're union and part of the county, and as such, Sundays are closed for the library. I think I'm saying that right, Jay, right? The gist of it. So that was why we're not open on Sunday.
Thank you, Joe. And I think I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.